Welcome back. The countdown is on. In a few hours from now, Donald Trump will take over as the 47th President of the United States officially. From a twice impeached courtroom regular to the first president to stage a non-consecutive comeback, Donald Trump's second inauguration isn't just history in the making, it's history flipping the script. But what does this mean for India? Let's run you through the pros and cons. While the personal rapport that Donald Trump shares with Prime Minister Modi is a huge pro for India, his stance on immigration and its subsequent impact on Indians in the US could go against India's long-term interests. Further, Trump's China decoupling push and the US-China +1 policy could help India emerge as a manufacturing hub, attracting US businesses seeking to diversify. Moreover, strengthening US, India, Japan, Australia alliance at Quad to counterbalance China could also be on the cards. However, Trump's America First policy may disrupt India's traditional international relationship. Trump's peace through strength aligns with India's security interests, and Trump may address India's demand for firmer US stance on Pakistan to address border terrorism. So that's a pro surely. But Trump 2.0 may also lead to a rise in bond market yields, particularly the 10-year Treasury. A stronger US bond yield can further exacerbate the capital outflows from emerging markets, including India. Further, Trump's love for fossil fuel could lead to more production of oil and gas, which could ease the global oil prices. This is likely to benefit Indian refiners and consumers. However, rupee overall is likely to see a downgrade, courtesy increased inflation and rates staying higher for longer. But there are some challenges that India is surely set to encounter in the road ahead. And let's try and decode that. Donald Trump's erratic diplomacy could complicate India's international relations. That's not a sure shot, but with Donald Trump, nothing can be ruled out. India will need to balance its autonomy while manage ties with the US and at the same time maintain relations with countries like Russia and Iran. India may also need to adapt to US tariffs and balance global trade dynamics. India must ensure it remains attractive to investors for FDIs amid potential US policy changes. And lastly, the biggest challenge for India would be H-1B visa and green card policies by Donald Trump. Tough H-1B visa policy may impact Indian IT workers and companies. So that's also something that we're watching out for very closely, as all eyes are on Trump 2.0 and we're counting down to the inaugural ceremony. Will ties with India going forward under Trump presidency for the second time be tricky or fruitful? We'll decode that with our guest joining us in just a bit. Here are the top voices we've heard so far.
It's been a torrent of announcements from Trump ever since his election on all that he will do as president, and now the due delivery date is at hand.
We'll be sworn in tomorrow. We're all going to be sworn in together. That's the way I look at it. It's not me. It's you. Greatest of all time. So we will be sworn in tomorrow. I'll be representing you as your 47th President of the United States.
Quickly opening this up with Prabhu Dayal, former diplomat who's also had his own share of experience in the United States as a diplomat, is with us this evening. Good evening to you, sir. Also joining us is Tara Karta, former Director, National Security Council Secretariat or the NSCS. Before I come to the two of you, just bear with me patiently because I need to quickly take in a word from Sanjay Suri, my colleague who's in Washington, D.C. Sanjay, we're learning that a rare winter storm is predicted in Washington, D.C. and clearly going by the visuals we're picking up, looks like it, but the sun is out as well. So tell us, what kind of preparations are we staring at as we speak?
Well, this is, if you're standing here in Washington, D.C., it's not about prediction. It's about the here and now. It's really bone chilling out here. But of course, this is the big day, and it's not just a big day ceremonially by way of the handover to a new president. There's always a momentous occasion in the US. But given Trump, given all that we've been told about what's imminent, this is going to be a very explosive start to the new presidency. We are expecting as many as 200 proclamations on day one, and relatively Biden issued about 160 orders in his term, and there's now talk of 200 in a day. So really Trump is impatient to get going. He's not just going to wait even to get to his Oval Office at the end of the day, pass the ceremonies. Just after he takes oath, he's going to start passing the orders. A lot of these decisions will be announced between the oath taking, which is at 12 noon local time, and lunch with the senators that follows immediately afterwards. And so this is now going to be a start. We know what the headline decisions will be. They will relate to immigration, primarily the illegal migrants. The target is really great. It's daunting. An estimated 11 million illegal migrants that Trump will want to put on a one-way flight out. It's not going to be easy. There'll be logistical difficulties, legal challenges. Then the issue about the January 6 rioters, many of them are in jail. They expect to be released today. Certainly a lot of people have been sitting overnight outside jail waiting to welcome them out. So a lot of very controversial moves within the US. Then of course, finally, and the big one internationally, are we going to see the end of the Ukraine war within 24 hours? Well, we are at the start of that. We'll know very soon whether that happens.
Oh yes, because the clock in that particular sense is surely ticking for Donald Trump, but we're keeping a close watch on several clocks, and we'll keep coming back to you, Sanjay. Sorry for making you wait. I know it's really cold, so we'll let you go for now. We'll come back to you in just a few minutes. For now, I'll go across to our experts joining us. Mr. Dayal, to you first. Sanjay gave us a quick insight into all that's expected as soon as Donald Trump takes over as the 47th president of United States, and he's already spoken of signing at least 200 executive orders. That I see is part of a larger messaging that he's attempting to do, that this is why I said America will be great again, and I'm down to business on the very first day. But given that there are several, friendly faces for India in Trump 2.0, how do you see that playing out for us when it comes to day-to-day functioning in several departments?
Well, thanks for having me on your show. I was listening to your introductory remarks, and you have highlighted some of the most important factors which will deepen America's strategic relationship with India. You mentioned, of course, the very, very warm relationship which was visible between Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They have a very cordial working relationship, and this will certainly be an important factor. Secondly, there is shared anxiety about China. Let's not forget that Donald Trump had played a very important role in reviving Quad. And the meeting of the Quad foreign ministers will be taking place in Washington a day after the inauguration. That is on Tuesday. And in fact, this will be one of the Trump administration's first diplomatic engagements. Now, although there is a possibility of a US-China deal of sorts under Donald Trump, the US national security apparatus will continue to see Beijing as an adversary. And I think that US economic planners will continue to do what they can to reduce dependence on China, and these factors will open doors for India. Now, thirdly, as you mentioned again, some of the key picks of Donald Trump are very favorably disposed towards India. These include, of course, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the FBI Director Kash Patel, the head of the National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby, several others. These are all people who are seen to be favorably disposed towards India. They have a positive view of India, and this will matter because on a day-to-day basis, having such good, strong, functional relationships will help to smooth over issues. So, in my view, as far as India's relations with the United States are concerned, as I said, in agreement with what you yourself pointed out, I think that these will deepen.
Okay, that's wonderfully put. Tara, do you believe in what Mr. Dayal is saying, or is there a flip side to that as well? Because Trump also comes with a lot of second guessing. But do you think under Trump, his presidency going forward, as a second tenure for him as the president of the United States, do you think India's strategic ties or relationship with America will grow? And especially what Mr. Dayal said, shared anxiety about China. Do you think those kind of factors will keep New Delhi and Washington DC glued in the long term?
Thank you first for having me, Christine. Thank you so much. Yeah, I by and large agree with Ambassador Dayal, as it said very well put. There is a clear shared concern about China across the board, including, in fact, even the Treasury Secretary. Even she's been, this lady, Christine Noem, she has been as South Dakota governor. She barred TikTok. So it's really across the board, this kind of China. But like you said, there is a flip side to it. You don't really want the US to push you too far on China. I mean, you're doing a very careful, I won't say balancing act. You're telling China where to stop. But at the same time, we're not interested in increasing tensions. The US may want a clearer line from you on China if things get worse. They may want a clearer line on Taiwan if that tension goes up, which they're saying it could in less than 2 years' time. So those pose challenges, right? And second thing is, just now you had the Trump speaking. He spoke to President Xi. Now he says, "I'm going to China." He says, "Arrange that trip." So this flip flop, while it's a given that China is a threat, what deal Trump could make with China, even while keeping that competition going. I mean, that's not going to go away. But what deals he could make is something which is as yet unknown. The sign on Quad is fantastic. I mean, the fact that it's held on that very day, and the next April, I think, is the summit in India. So that is a fantastic signal. But all of these signals has costs. So we'll have to sort of, be a little on our toes here.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Dayal, also because the kind of signaling that keeps coming in from Donald Trump. 1 month, Donald Trump is in a very isolationist mood or phase in life as a leader, wherein he's not really looking at getting himself involved in different wars of the world. The other minute, you have Donald Trump sending out warnings to Greenland, Canada, some of these neighboring nations. So you really can't say what's going on with him sometimes, and that can be tricky, right?
Well, that is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He is unpredictable. In fact, the only thing which can be predicted about Donald Trump is that he will be unpredictable. And he will say certain things which will contradict some of the other things which he will say a few days later. Now, as regards the isolationist policy, to which you rightly pointed out, there are fears that as regards Taiwan, he could adopt an isolationist policy.
Yeah.
And that might, in fact, encourage China to become aggressive in regard to Taiwan. And if Taiwan is out of the way as far as China is concerned, then that could in turn pose serious dangers for Arunachal Pradesh. So Trump's isolationism can be dangerous, but I don't think that his entire security apparatus and his foreign policy advisors will let him play such an isolationist role. I think they will advise him to pursue policies which are in line with well-known and standing American interests. And that, of course, will certainly include containing China, both in the economic and in the territorial.
But Mr. Dayal, if we talk about some of the internal battles we've fought, Doklam, Balakot, Galwan, and all of it under Trump's presidency, right? The last time around, we've seen how the two countries have walked hand in hand. Tara, do you think New Delhi is going to keep in mind the factors that are going to play out in India's favor when it comes to dealing with a leader like Donald Trump, going by what we've experienced so far under his presidency?
That's actually a very good question. Yes, It's a very good question. I think, yeah, that would be kept in mind that this is not a man who likes to be pushed around.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from a purely personal point of view. He doesn't like the Chinese. He's made it clear. So, apart from that, is the fact that there was a good deal of sharing of intel. I mean, we did not want US to come in heavily at that time during Doklam, but there was quite sharing of intel. Right now, what it's going in that same direction of commonalities, how to do this thing, how to work this thing out, and these, all of these guys are non-Washington bureaucracy people, all his appointees. They think differently. Like barring, I think, Elbridge Colby, who was within the system and is completely anti-China. So there will be a shared, very, very strong shared concern, and that hopefully will deter China. On Taiwan, I would disagree slightly. The fundamental basis of American policy is that no other country must be higher than us. And if they absorb Taiwan, which is a thriving economy, that shake the foundations of the US, because already the IMF has said that per capita income, China is higher than that of the US.
Yes, and that's where, Mr. Dayal, the last few seconds to you, that's where leadership comes into play, right? Prime Minister Narendra Modi here, President Donald Trump back in America, the two in the past have shown excellent communication skills. They've dealt with problems at hand very effectively, and that certainly is a positive sign.
Yes, certainly. And Trump is very keen on maintaining that sort of a strong relationship. Now, along with giving signals that he wants to visit China, he has also at the same time said that he would be visiting India too. And therefore, his indications are that he wants to go whatever distance is required to strengthen the relationship with India. There are, of course, going to be irritants, there are going to be problems, but we have a very capable leader in our Prime Minister, and he has a bond with Donald Trump. No foreign leader has been given the sort of reception which
absolutely.
Donald Trump
But overall, with Donald Trump, we're going to have to wait a little bit, Mr. Dayal, Tara, whether or not it's going to be an expansionist or negotiating America under his presidency. So we're tracking all that very closely, counting down to the big inauguration in United States of America. That's all.